Hello, my name is Sahil Sharma and welcome to the channel Geeky School with Sahil Sharma. This video is part of End-to-End Python for Data Science, which is sponsored by Newton School's Launchpad program. In the previous videos, we have already learned about the basics of Python as well as the basics of NumPy, the date and time, and even we started with the pandas in the previous video. So you can enroll into this program for free, and even more programs are available in the Newton School's Launchpad program. They give free training for the full stack development course, and a student can learn a lot of things and get placed even by not paying anything. You have to only pay if you get placed through Newton School. In this video, we will be covering the conditional filtering, which is an essential aspect of data filtering while doing the data preprocessing for a project. We will also be learning some method calls and even the description. We will be seeing that how to see the description of a data set, as well as we will be doing some sorting within the data frames of pandas. So all these things will be covered, and also some other functions will be covered. So let's go to the practical section and let's do our coding in the Google Collaboratory. So this is the agenda of today's class. In this video, you will be learning about the introduction to conditional filtering. There will be a lot of variation in it. We will also be learning about the method calls within pandas, as well as we will be learning about the description and sorting within the pandas data frames. So what is conditional filtering? So in data analysis, our data sets are large enough and we do not filter out the data based on locations. Instead, we do it based on a condition. Location means within the data, let's say there are 1 million rows. You will not do the filtering based on a location. Let's say index 1 lakh, something like that will not be done. Instead, you will be writing some condition. If that condition is qualified, then only the rows come up as the filtered out data. So conditional filtering allows us to select the rows based on a condition on the columns. Hence, we should focus on organizing our data, and we will be actually handling our data in a better way, whatever the size of the data may be. So let's do some import. Import numpy as np and import pandas as pd. These are the two pre-processing statements which we will be requiring. Then, just to give you an idea, columns are the features in a data and rows are instances of data. So whenever, let's say that you are working on a CSV file, or maybe you are working on an Excel sheet, within that you can imagine that if you use pandas, columns will be handled as the features of a data set, and the rows will be the instances of data. Let's say there are 1 million rows, so those are 1 million instances of the data. So in this example, I have taken my index equal to India, USA, and Canada. So in my data, there is list and list, in which we have three lists. So this first list is for India, the second list is for USA, and the third list is for Canada. So my columns are independence, population, and GDP. So these are the three headings which I'm going to give to my columns. So let's see that how it looks like if I convert it to a data frame by using this command pd.dataframe. So while defining this data frame, you have to give three things: what is the data, what is your index, and what are your column names. So all three things have been defined by us, and I have given those three values as the input to a data frame. If I run this, this is how my data frame looks like. So independence, population, and GDP are the columns, which are features, and India, USA, and Canada are the rows, which are called as instances. So you can see that India got independence in 1947, and population and GDP values are randomly taken here. So population is, let's say, 1390 million for India, and GDP is around 10. All these values are not actual values, these are just for the example. USA independence year 1776 and Canada 1867. So all the values are there. There is no missing value. So we will be discussing about the missing values and dealing with that in the next video. But for now, let's say we assume that all the values are complete, and we have to work on that. Now the question arises that which countries have population more than value X, or which country has a GDP less than value Y, which country got independence first. So all these things need a comparison. right? You need to write a conditional statement and all those values will be filtered out. Based on that, the row will be in front of us after the filtering is done. Now let's solve this problem. Which country have the population greater than 30? In this, we can clearly see that population of India and USA, according to this data, is more than 30, but for Canada it is 20, so it will not qualify. So if I write this DF population greater than 30, so according to you, what will be the output? You can see the data. What will be the output? So all those who are thinking that all the rows, the first two rows will be given as the output, you are wrong. But in this, you are only doing a Boolean comparison, and you will be getting the values as true, true, false. So India true, USA true, but Canada false. Now because you have this Boolean data type here, and if you pass these three values on your data frame, then the data frame values are filtered out. Now let's say that I want to comment this, and I will do that. I will do this in a way that I write the condition within the data frame to get the value out of it. So if I write this again, then the two rows are given as the outputs, because now the true, true, false are being used as a filter to get the data out of the data frame. Now these are the three steps. Grab the column for comparison, perform a comparison to get the series of Boolean values, and then pass that series of Boolean values into data frame. So all these three things have been done by us in the previous command, and you can see that the first two rows are the output. Now let's do the conditional filtering based on single condition, based on multiple condition, as well as we will be checking it against the multiple possible values. Now the dataset has been taken from Kaggle. So this is the Kaggle page from where the dataset has been taken, the Seaborn Tips dataset. The link is here. You can take it from the coding file that has been given to you on the GitHub page. So this link, if you open it, it will be something like this, and you want this CSV file, right? We want to import this file. So what you can do is you can simply download it. Zip file will be there. You can extract it, and then you can drag and drop it in the file section here. So I have already done it. So tips.csv file is here, and we will be using that in our data now. So there is a simple command called read csv, pd.read csv, to read a CSV file, right? And then if you see the df.head, you will see the first 5 rows. So this is how it looks like. There are 7 columns, right? And within these 7 columns, you have total bill, the tip value, sex of a person, smoker, yes or no, the days, right? Sunday, Monday, something like that, and time, dinner or lunch, some that, and then size. So what is the size of the table that has been occupied? So if there are 3 people or 4 people in a group, all these things are there. And now we want to also add one more column. Let's say I want to add the Aadhaar number of that same person who has done the booking. So the let's generate random Aadhaar numbers. So I have put these values here. These are 12-digit values. All these will be treated as random integers. So we have seen in the previous videos how to create random numbers. So rand int generates our integers between these ranges, and length of data frame is given as the size, that how much numbers need to be generated. So if you run this command, whatever the length of the data frame is, that much of random number Aadhaar numbers will be generated. So these are the Aadhaar numbers that have been generated. The size is exactly same as the data frame's length. Now you want to give these numbers as a data frame column, and you want to append it at the right side. So what you can simply do is you can simply write df Aadhaar number equal to pd.dataframe Aadhaar number, and you will see that the Aadhaar number has been appended to the data set. Now you can see that these random numbers have been generated as the Aadhaar numbers of a person. Now let's do filter by single condition. Now if I want to see the total bill column, it is something like this. Df total bill, it is giving me outputs like this. There are total 244 values. 0 to 243 is the index number, and these are the values: 16.99, 10.34. These are some prices that has been generated in the bill. Now you want to do this thing. You want to take all the values out of it, which are having the value greater than 45, right? So 45.01 will be qualifying for this, but 45 will not be qualifying. Why? Because greater than condition needs the value above that number, not including that number. So for all the values in those 244 values, having value greater than 45 will be generated with true and false value. So if you want to see this bool series, what you can do is you can actually look into it by writing bool series and get the values. So if you want to visualize what's being done, it is true and false, right? So if the value is greater than 45, it is true. If it is not greater than 45, it is false. Simple. Now if you pass that true and false boolean values into a data frame, you will get all the rows having values greater than 45. So here the total bill is greater than 45 value, and there are only 5 rows having the value which is qualifying. Now those 2-3 things can be done in a single line by just doing this thing, that df total bill is greater than 45, and we directly pass it into this df. By running this command, you will be getting the data frame which is actually qualifying the condition. Now let's say that I want to get all the rows where the sex is male. So if I pass this condition inside this data frame, I will get all the rows having male as the value in this column. So there are only 157 rows out of 244 that are having male value. So if I want to see all the rows having party size greater than 4, I can simply write this command of df size greater than 4, and all those rows having value greater than 4, that is 5 and 6, will be printed. And these are very less rows, right? So these are only 9 out of 244, in which the table was occupied by 5 or 6 people in a group. Now let's do it for multiple condition. Now multiple condition uh, has two things, and or operator. And is used when both the conditions need to be true, and if either of the condition is needed to be true, or operator is being used. Now if I run this, 1 equal to 1 and 5 equal to 5, obviously this is a true thing. We are actually just checking the values if it is true or false, right? But now if I want to do this, now if I use this, and I am passing these two values, df total value greater than 40 and the sex is male. So if I run this, I will get the output as error. Why? Because it is expecting the values, not the true and false, right? So it is actually expecting some values, and if the both conditions are true, it has to go to some location, and it has to get the values out of the data frame. But just passing this true and false value will not get our job done, because we need the exact indices about for the qualifying rows. So what you can do is you can simply replace this and word with the ampersand. Now if I pass this ampersand here instead of and word, so if I pass the ampersand, it works as a logical operator, and it will get us all the rows in which both the conditions are being true. Now if I run this, it will fetch the values out of the data frame in which the sex is male and total bill is greater than 40. So you can see that for all these 8 rows, these two conditions are true. Now if you want to check against multiple possible values, df.head. So this is how my current data frame looks like, right? Now let's say I want to return all the rows where the day is Saturday, Sunday or Friday. So one way is that I can use a or operator, and I can write 3 conditions: df day equal to Saturday, df day equal to Sunday, and same for Friday. But this can be a tiring thing if there are more values, right? It can be simplified by using this isIn function. So what it does is it takes a list. Let's say that we define a list options equal to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now if I do this df day dot isIn options, it will give me the true and false values. So because it is taking that if my df day value is in the options, so it is only giving me true and false. Now if I pass this boolean value inside a data frame, it will actually give me all the rows which are having these three kind of days. So the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all the rows are total 182 out of 244. So all those rows have been given as the output if I pass the condition inside this data frame. Right now, this is my condition, is in options is a condition. So now let's move ahead. Now let's do some method calls in pandas. So if you want to read more about it, you can go to this link and you can read about multiple things in this API reference of pandas. In this data frame also, you can look into few things: pandas.data frame, the index, columns, data type, info. Most of the things I am covering. But if you want to learn more, you can go through these commands and maybe work on them. So let's use this apply function, and generally apply function helps us to use a custom Python function over the data frame in a series or a data frame. So generally what happens is, if I make my own function, if I make my own custom function, I can pass a value and I can get a output for it, right? If I pass one or two values or maybe in a for loop. But when we talk about a data frame, in that there are multiple columns and we need to apply, let's say that we need to apply that single function over a full data frame. So what we can do is, let's say we do it on a single column. So df.info, this will give me the information about what the columns are, what is the data type, all those things, right? And how many null values are there, something like that. Everything will be passed. So let's say I don't want to take the string value first. I want to just print my Aadhaar number. So if I pass this Aadhaar number 0, so it will give me the Aadhaar number of the first person in the dataset. But within that, if I want to traverse, let's say I want to get the first value out of it, I want to get 6 out of this full Aadhaar number. Now this technique will not work. Why? Because this is not a traversable, so it cannot be traversed because it is not a string, it is a integer, and integers cannot be traversed like this. You cannot get one value out of it by just using this 00 here. First you have to convert it into a string, and within the string you can get the first value. So if you do a data type casting, so if you convert this Aadhaar number 0 into a string and then do this 0 with that, so the first value out of the full Aadhaar number is being the output. Again you can use this colon for, this was the slicing, right? So within the string you are doing the slicing. So 0 1 2 3, 4 locations will be the output, the first 4 locations. Now let's say that you want to define a function which returns the first value out of the Aadhaar number. So out of the Aadhaar series number, you are getting the first value, and you are defining a function Aadhaar series num. Within that you are returning the num's string version's first value by using this thing that we have discussed already. Now if I pass a single value in this Aadhaar series function, it will return me 2. So why? Because within this Aadhaar number, the first value is 2, right? So 0 location is 2 here. So the counting starts from 0 in string. Hence this 2 is the output. And now if you want to use the apply function over the full data frame, what you can do is, if you do this df Aadhaar number on whatever column you want to apply it, you have to define df Aadhaar number. This is the column name here, and dot apply Aadhaar series will apply our function, this define the custom function that we have defined over the full data frame. So it will give me all the values. So these are the all values that have been returned, but this has not affected our data frame yet. So let's say that I want to now add these things. I want to append this column at the end of my data frame. I can do it simply df Aadhaar series, and then that full function will be run. And because of this thing on the right hand side, my Aadhaar series data frame column will be added. Now if I run this df.head, all the values are there, and also this new column has been added. Now let's say that I want to generate a recommender in which I want to see that which restaurant is costly or which one is cheaper. So let's say I want to see the mean of my data frames total bill column. So the mean expense is 19.7 for this particular restaurant, and let's define a function in which I want to define how much pricey the restaurant is. So define pricey with the value of price. If price is less than 10, then $1 symbol. If it is between 10 and 30, then $2 symbols. Else, if it is greater than 30 or even equal to 30, then $3 signs. So if I pass this df, if I pass this pricey function with apply on a full column, so I can define a costly column and it can be appended on my data frame. So if I print it now, I will have a new column added here, simply just by the same logic we did for Aadhaar series. We have again generated one new column for the costly, in which first 5 rows have $2 signs. Now let's do it for multiple columns. There are two methods to do it. One method is lambda function, the second method is numpy vectorize. So these are the two things that we need to cover. Let's talk about lambda function. I will just be giving you an idea and then we will be applying it using the apply function. So let's say that you define a function called simple with a num as the argument. You will return the twice of a number. Return means that you just have to give the output as this, twice the number here. So if I pass the value simple 3, so this 3 will go to this num and return 3 into 2. So 6 will be the output in this case, right? So this is a simple function call. It is a call by value. So now if you want to do it through lambda function, lambda is an anonymous function. It has no name. The way we have defined this custom function with the name simple, we do not need to write a name like this. You can just simply run it like lambda num colon num into 2. So this is the lambda function here that has been defined, and we will be using this function within the data frame total bill. So if I apply this lambda function bill colon bill into 2, so every value will be picked out of the total bill column, and every value will be and all those values will be multiplied by 2 because of this apply function. So it is kind of a broadcast function over the full data frame. So if you want to do it for multiple arguments, let's say that I want to add one new column in which I want to write if my tip was generous or not, right? So whatever tip was given to the waiter, if that tip was generous or not, let the simple rule be that if it is greater than the 20% of the bill, then it is a generous tip, otherwise it is not. So it is a simple function in which we have two arguments. We are passing two values in a function. We have defined our custom function. It can be named any name. So if tip divided by total bill is greater than 0.2, it means that more than 20%, return this generous, otherwise it will return other, right? So these are the two classes. So if I pass this quality 20,6, 20,6 will come here. Now obviously 6 by 20 is 0.3, right? It is a generous, so the output will be generous tip. So generous is being the output. Now if you want to apply the lambda function over your total bill as well as tip, now because we want to discuss this multiple argument thing. Now we have two arguments here, total bill and tip. You want to apply the lambda function over these two columns, and you want to get the filtering done based on this, that within the quality function you are passing these two values, and every time the two values will be given, it will be done through x is equal to 1. It means column wise you are doing it, and you get the values whatever the value comes out to be, generous or other, right? Now if you want to add this column, simply you have to do is df quality of tip. Quality of tip will be the new column, and again all the things that we did in the previous command. exactly that has been copied here, and whatever the result will be, it will be saved in the new column quality of tip. Now if you want to see the head, it will have a new column quality of tip in which other or generous is there throughout the dataset. Now let's do it using this numpy vectorize function. So you can do the same thing that was done by this complex command here. It looked complex, but it was not. But still, if you want to simplify it, you can simply use this numpy.vectorize quality function will be called in this with these two values in which you are getting the arguments total, bill, and tip. So if you run this, same thing will be done, columns same column is being added, quality of tip, other or generous, something like that. So everything will be done accordingly. But whatever the output was coming earlier, again same output is being generated, but in a simpler way. Now let's talk about numpy vectors. What does it do? I have shared a link here also, you can go to this link and explore it later on. But main thing to notice here is that purpose of the np.vector is to transform a function which are not numpy aware into functions that can operate on a numpy array. So I had written a simple function in which I did this, that I wanted to calculate the quality of a tip. Right now this is a simple function, it is not numpy aware yet. So this numpy vectorize makes this function aware of numpy arrays and speeds up some work. Now this numpy vectorize documentation, if you see, it is written that it is a convenience function and it does not make code run any faster, but the results are quite fast compared to lambda function. So what I have done is I have also generated this code in which I am comparing the two codes in terms of time. So this lambda function is being passed here, and this it can talk are the two functions which are calculating the time. uh, these are actually the timestamps before and after the function that is being run. That has been done same for the vectorize technique. So these two functions are being compared for the comparison of time, how much time it is taking. So if you run it, you will see that lambda version is taking 8.75 milliseconds compared to vectorize version, it is only taking 0.79 milliseconds. So if you do the comparison, it is nearly 10 times faster. Vectorize version is 10 times faster the lambda version, and the output was same. So let's come to the description and sorting. So it is very easy to follow now. So let's say that I want to read again the original tips.csv file. After that, I want to see the describe function, and I am looking at the values of the dataset. The count is given for each column, all the numerical columns, and then the mean, the standard deviation, min, max, 25 percentile, 50 percentile, 75 percentile, all the values are there according to the dataset. Now if you want to do a sorting on this dataset, what you have to do is you have to simply use the sort values function, df.sort values based on the tip. Ascending equal to false means by default it gives the output in a ascending manner, but I want to keep the row having the maximum tip at the top, so let's do it in descending order, ascending equal to false. If you do this, you will see that the values have been sorted with the maximum tip $10, then the $9, then 7.58. So these are the descending tip. And now let's say that you want to do it with two columns. Why two columns? Now in some cases, let's say this $1 tip is there, but this size of the table is having 2112. So let's say that I want to get this sorted also, right? So if I'm going to do it in a descending manner, it should be 2211 rather than 2112. So let's do it, and let's do it in a ascending manner, doesn't matter, but still it will be done for both the columns. So first tip will be done, sorted. So tip is being sorted from 1 to 10, right, over the 244 rows, and then the size is also being sorted. So 1122 is there instead of 2112 now. So this is a way to sort your data even with the multiple columns. Now let's talk about switching and mapping method. uh, let's see the df dot head, the first 5 rows, and now replace the female with f and male with m. Now within this sex column you have these two values, female and male, and let's say that you want to replace these values with the f and m throughout the data frame for that particular column. You can use this dot replace function, uh, obviously with the column in which the replacement needs to be done. So when you run this dot replace, what you have to do is you have to simply give the old value uh, first, and then whatever the new value you want to replace it with. So if you run this, you will see that within this female has been updated with this f, but male has not been replaced yet. So you can also do the same thing with a list. So within the replace function you can pass a list female, male, and f and m, right? So old list will be updated with the new list. So throughout this column you will see f and m only now, instead of female and male fully written. Now let's do the same thing using this dictionary. There is this map functionality. What you have to simply do is you have to write this dictionary, let's say with the name my map. Within a dictionary I have given the two values, female colon f comma male colon m. Now if I pass this dictionary into this function, dot map function, so what it does is it over this column which is df6 dot map my map, it means that over my column you have to simply do the mapping in which you have to replace this female with the f and male with the m. You have to simply map these values, and if you run this you will see the values have been updated set over the full column, right? Now check for duplicated rows. df.duplicated gives me all the rows that are duplicated. So if you run this, it will be giving all the values as false or true based on if the value is the first duplicate value, it will give true for that. Otherwise, if the value is coming only once, it will be giving false every time. So let's take a simple example. Let's generate this sample df in which I am passing the data frame with the value 1233 and abcd. So if I run this data frame, you will see that abcd are the four indices and with the value 1233. Now obviously the second three is a duplicate value, right? So the output should be false, 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 true. Now if I run this sample df.duplicated, it will give me the values as false, 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 true. Why? Because this 3 is the duplicate value which is at the d location, so it is true here. Now if you do this drop duplicate, it will actually drop the duplicate rows in which true was there, right? So now let's print all the values of a column df total bill where both the where the range of two values is being given. So let's say that I have this total bill column. Now within this I want to get the rows in which this 15 comma 20 is the range, and inclusive equal to true means that I want to include the 20 also. If the total bill is $20, I want to include that. So if I run this, all the total bill values where the value is between 15 and 20, it will be true, otherwise it will be false. So by default it is giving me boolean values. But if I pass this over a data frame, so it will give me all the rows having the values between 15 and 20. So if you see the output, all the total bill values are between 15 and 20. Now if you want to print the n smallest and the n largest values, so let's say that within the tip I want to see the smallest tip values, uh, only the two smallest tip values. So if I run this now n smallest function with 2 comma tip, it means that I want only two values over the tip column with the smallest value. So 1 is being selected here, and female, female, all the values are there within the rows. So if I do the same thing with the largest tip is being output in the descending order. So 10 first and then the 9 tip, right? So these are the two tips that are there in the descending order. Now if you want to print this value in a complex manner, you can also do it like this: df dot sort values. You have to sort them, and then you take the 0 and 1 location out of it. So it is very simple. So it is sorting it first in the descending manner, and then it is taking the index of location 0 and 1, because 2 is not included. 0 colon 2 means 0 and 1. Now let's do some sampling. Let's say I want to take 5 rows randomly. I can write this as df.sample5. It is actually giving me the 5 rows. And now I can also write it as frac equal to zero point 0.1. Actually, it is a fraction value. It will give me the 10% of the data. Because I have written 0.1, it will give me 10% data randomly out of the full data set. So 10% rows are there. So it was 244 rows. So 24 rows are given as the output. So there are some other functions also. Let's say I want to get the maximum value out of a column. df total bill dot max, it will give me the maximum value. If I want to print the index of the maximum value, that can also be done. So 170 is the index of 50.81. I want to see the data frame at location 170. So iloc can be implemented, and the detailed values for all the columns within that location of 170 is being given as the output like this. Now if I do it for the index of min, again same thing can be done using the index of location. So all of these things have been covered for the max here. So all of them have been combined for the index min. So this is the minimum value, and other values are like this. Now if you want to generate a correlation function, df.correlation of all the numeric columns will be done. So for all the columns that are having numerical values, will be compared with this within this correlation map. So this is the correlation of total bill, tip, and the size. So these are the three columns, and the similarity is being given here. Correlation of them is being given. So if I want to, let's say, get the count of each category in the data frame. So if I ignore this df dot head, I do not want to see the first 5 rows, but I just want to see the value counts over the full data set within this male and female. So these are the number of males, 157, number of females are 87. So this is how we do the value counts. Now if I want to, let's say, see the df day. So this is the day column in which all the days are given as Sunday, Saturday, Thursday, maybe Friday also is there. So there are some weekdays that are there within the df day column. So I can see that Sunday, Saturday, and Thursday is there. But now I want to see all the unique values in a particular column. So I am doing it for the day column. I want to see how many days are there. Saturday, Sunday, and Thursday is there, but what else is there? So if I print this as dot unique function, it is giving me 4 values. Friday is also there. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. These are the 4 values. I can see the number of unique values also. So 4 will be given as the output in this case. So if you want to do it for length, right? So if you see this unique function which was giving me 4 values, you can see the length of that also, and again 4 will be the output. Now if you want to see the value counts of df day, so for each day for the full data set, count is being given that Saturday is 87 times, Sunday is 76 times. So the decreasing order of value counts is being provided. So that's all for this tutorial. So you have learned about conditional filtering using the single and multiple rows and columns, and you have also learned about the method calls, the description and sorting, and the other functions. So a lot of learning was there. I suggest you to go slow in this video. If you want to rewatch it, you should rewatch it. There are lots of things that have been covered in this video. It will be very helpful for you if you are working on a data science project, and you will be able to easily handle the data set. Even if it is having 1 billion rows, you can get the things out of it accordingly, whatever the condition is, whatever the filter you want to apply. So lots of things have been done. That's all. Let's meet in the next video. Keep learning and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.